Message to the government, expressing what's exactly on the people's mind. Na buli chitumala kedembe lyaffe Uganda etambula etamabika kituse n'okutwetamya eggwanga lyaffe mulimba mutufuga bubinyo namwe kale tetuganye mwalwana mu nsiko naye gw'omwana gwe wasanga nga tannazaalibwa kati naye yazaala nata kino mukiŋŋambire muzeeyi abamutukako saba ne bazeeyi banne bamugambeko en'ensonga nkyamu nnyo gyalemeddeko kati eggwanga lyonna lyenyamidde bagambe yalinga demokrasi mwamubuluka kati yafuuka na hypocrisy bagambe yali fundamental change mwagizaala wakati mugifudde no change bagamba kyensongeza abalwanya kati mwazibukako namwe mukola biri ebyabali bakusaba nti constitution yaabwe togikwatako kuba mwe musigadde essuubi lyabwe I say we are fighting for freedom Kampala Mokotumba Jinja we are fighting for freedom Kabale Lukunjiri Malala Kasese we are fighting for freedom Soroti Chitugum Arua Lidagum we are fighting for freedom I say Wakiso Masaka Wende Mijana we are fighting for freedom We are living in a time similar to the one of slave trade. This operation is what's done apartheid. The gun is the master, citizen slave. The ball of Africa is bleeding. Question, what was the purpose of the liberation when we can't have a peaceful transition? What is the purpose of the constitution when the government disrespect the constitution? Where is my freedom of expression when you charge me because of my expression? Look what you're doing to this nation. What are you teaching the future generation? See our leaders become misleaders and see our mentors become tormentors. Freedom fighters become dictators. They look on the youth and say we are distractors. We are fighting for freedom. We are fighting for freedom. Maybe backwards Chimoroto Chadondo. We are fighting for freedom. Badel Masinde Kabon Karamoja. We are fighting for freedom. Oi Machiriandongo Koti Wundi Wujo. We are fighting for freedom. Tusituke baboy atuchimanyi nti okununula eggwanga kitukakatako abana ba Uganda fena era manya nti botunulira ebikyamu nosirikireyo olidde mu nsi olukwe naffe abakulwanirako gwe nosirikira gy'oli obeera otusaddase jjukira nti ne bwe bubeera bumyunga bwakuŋŋanye engo bugitwala terinnya no matter your age, no matter your sex, no matter your religion, no matter your tribe, whether educated or uneducated, it's a revelation for the generation. Every this, whether you a doctor or a farmer, whether you a teacher or policeman, could I be a tax driver or a student, could I be a lawyer, could I be a soldier. We are fighting for freedom. Osituke baboy, temupo baboy. We are fighting for freedom. Bana Uganda bali kumawanga. We are fighting for freedom. Abana baboda boda namwe mwebereremu. We are fighting for freedom. Yes man, like Martin Luther said, in the end, we remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. This is a message to the government, expressing what's exactly on the people's mind. Twakoye ebinyigiriza obulamu bwaffe na buli kitumalako eddembe lyaffe Uganda etambula edda mabega kituuse n'okutwetamya eggwanga lyaffe mulimba mutufuga bubinyo nammwe kale tetuganye mwalwana mu nsiko naye gwe mwana gwe wasanga nga tannazaalibwa kati naye yazaala nata kino mukiŋŋambire muzeeyi abamutukako saba ne bazeeyi banne bamugambeko eno ensonga nkyamu nnyo gyalemeddeko kati eggwanga lyonna lyenyamidde bagambe yalinga demokulasi mwamubuluka kati yafuuka na hipokulisi bagambe yali fundamento kyenji mwagizaala wakati mugifudde no kyenji bagamba kyensonga ez'abalwanya kati mwazibukako nammwe mukola biri ebyabali bakusaba nti konstitutioni yaabwe togikwatako kubamwe musigadde essuubi lyabwe I say we are fighting for freedom Kampala Mukodumba Jinja we are fighting for freedom Kabale Lukunjiri Malala Kasese we are fighting for freedom Soroti Chitugum Arua Lidagum we are fighting for freedom I say Wakiso Masaka Wende Mijana we are fighting for freedom Yo! We are living in a time similar to the one of slave trade. This operation is what's done appetite. The gun is the master, citizen slave. The ball of Africa is bleeding. Question, what was the purpose of the liberation when we can't have a peaceful transition? What is the purpose of the constitution when the government disrespect the constitution? Where is my freedom of expression when you charge me because of my expression? Look what you're doing to this nation. What are you teaching the future generation? See our leaders become misleaders and see our mentors become tormentors. Freedom fighters become dictators. They look on the youth and say we are distractors. We are fighting for freedom. Bosi amalaba mutukola chotera. We are fighting for freedom. Ebi bakwachi moroto chadondo. We are fighting for freedom. Badel masinde kabon karamoja. We are fighting for freedom. Oi machiriandongo koti wundi wujo. We are fighting for freedom. Tusituke baboy atuchimanyi nti okununula eggwanga kitukakatako abana ba Uganda fena era manya nti botunulira ebikyamu nosirikireyo olidde mu nsi olukwe naffe abakulwanirako gwe nosirikira gy'oli obeera otusaddase jjukira nti ne bwe bubeera bumyunga bwakuŋŋanye engo bugitwala terinnya no matter nature, no matter your sex, no matter your religion, no matter your tribe, whether educated or uneducated, it's a revelation for the generation. Every this, whether you a doctor or a farmer, whether you a teacher or policeman, could I be a tax driver or a student, could I be a lawyer, could I be a soldier. We are fighting for freedom. We are fighting for freedom. Bana Uganda bali kumawanga. We are fighting for freedom. We are fighting for freedom. Yes, man, like Martin Luther said, in the end, we remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. This is a message to the government, expressing what's exactly on the people's mind. Twakoye ebinyigiriza obulamu bwaffe na buli kitumalako eddembe lyaffe. Uganda etambula edda mabega, kituuse n'okutwetamya eggwanga lyaffe. Mulimba mutufuga bubi nnyo nammwe, kale tetuganye mwalwana mu nsiko, naye omwana gwe wasanga nga tannazaalibwa kati naye yazaala nnata. Kino mukiŋŋambire muzeeyi abamutukako, saba ne bazeeyi banne bamugambeko, en'ensonga nkyamu nnyo gyalemeddeko kati eggwanga lyonna lyennyamidde. Bagambe yalinga demokulasi bamubuluka kati yafuuka na hipokulisi. Bagambe yali fundamento change magizaala wakati mugifudde no change. Bagamba kyensongeza abalwanya kati mwazibukako nammwe mukola biri ebyabali. Bakusaba nti constitution yaabwe togikwatako kuba mwe musigadde essuubi lyabwe. I say we are fighting for freedom. Kampala Mokoto Mbale Jinja. We are fighting for freedom. Kabale Lukunjiri Malala Kasese. We are fighting for freedom. Soroti Chitugum Arua Lidagum. We are fighting for freedom. I say Wakiso Masaka Wende Mijana. We are fighting for freedom. Yo! We are living in a time similar to the one of slave trade. This operation is worse than appetite. The gun is the master, citizen slave. The ball of Africa is bleeding. Question, what was the purpose of the liberation when we can't have a peaceful transition? What is the purpose of the constitution when the government disrespect the constitution? Where is my freedom of expression when you charge me because of my expression? Look what you're doing to this nation. What are you teaching the future generation? See our leaders become misleaders and see our mentors become tormentors. Freedom fighters become dictators. They look on the youth and say we are distractors. We are fighting for freedom. Bosi amalaba mutukola chotera. We are fighting for freedom. Ebi bakwachi moroto chadondo. We are fighting for freedom. Badel masinde kabun karamoja. We are fighting for freedom. Oi machiri andongo 40 bundi bujo. We are fighting for freedom. Tusituke baboy, atuchimanyi nti okununula eggwanga kitukakatako ffe abaana ba Uganda ffena. Era manya nti bw'otunuulira ebikyamu nosirikireyo olidde mu nsi olukwe. Naffe abakulwanirako gwe nosirikira gy'oli obeera otusaddase. Jjukira nti ne bwe bubeera bumyu nga bwakuŋŋanye, engo bugitwala ate erinnya. No matter your age, future, no matter your sex, no matter your religion, no matter your tribe, whether educated or uneducated, it's a revelation for the generation. Whether you a doctor or a farmer, whether you a teacher or policeman, could I be a tax driver or a student, could I be a lawyer, could I be a soldier. We are fighting for freedom. We are fighting for freedom. Bana Uganda bali kumawanga. We are fighting for freedom. We are fighting for freedom. Yes, man, like Martin Luther said, in the end, we remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. It was 9th of October 1962 when the nation was born, beautiful and endowed with the promise of democracy, with unity and diversity, all on a mission to build a nation that would make life better for the future generations. Well, indeed, we are that generation, the grandchildren of the independence generation, and oh yes, the grandparents of the future generations. We must, within ourselves, find solutions, since our leaders don't seem to care for the next generation, but instead care for the next general election.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. We would like to start the day with our anthems, as we can keep standing so that we can commence the day.
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Let's be seated. Good morning once again. Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and fellow advocates for social justice, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the 27th Radical New Bar Press and Public Engagement organized by the Uganda Law Society. My name is Robert Benon Jurua, a litigation officer in the Department of Rule of Law and Litigation at the Uganda Law Society. Today, we gather to discuss a critical topic that resonates deeply with our mandate as legal practitioners, entitled Lawyers as Agents of Social Justice through Upholding Human Rights and Electoral Integrity. The Uganda Law Society, the Radical New Bar, as the National Bar Association, is committed to imparting knowledge, advocating for the rule of law, constitutionalism, and good governance. This engagement is a testament to our dedication to these principles, as embedded in our vision, mission, and strategic plan as the Radical New Bar. We believe that lawyers play a vital role in promoting social justice and upholding human rights, and we are honored to provide a platform for discussion and debate on these issues. The International Bar Association standards for the independence of legal profession, as adopted in 1990, constitutes an essential guarantee for the promotion and protection of human rights and is necessary for effective and adequate access to legal services. And we are guided by the UN Basic Principles on the role of lawyers. But before we proceed, I would like to take a moment to pay tribute to the late George William Kanyehamba, Justice of the Supreme Court, a fallen icon who passed away yesterday, the 14th day of July, 2025. Professor Kanyehamba was an icon and a legend in our legal fraternity, and his contributions to the development and the Constitution are a true rule of law depiction of what exactly is going to be discussed here today. As the head of the legal committee at the Constituent Assembly that drafted our Constitution, he played a vital role in shaping the legal framework of our country. We remember his legacy and continue to draw inspiration from his commitment to the rule of law and constitutionalism. A lot more will be said as we move on with the program. One of his favorite quotes, and in regard to what we are discussing today, is derived from a constitutional court matter, the presidential election petition number 1 of 2006, in which Colonel retired Dr. Kizza Besigye was versing Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and another, in which he noted that the overriding principle of the rule of law is that the Constitution is the alpha and omega of everything that is orderly, decent, and legitimate. Anything that claims to be higher should be shot at once by the Supreme Court using the strongest legal missiles at its disposal. We are privileged today to have the president of the National Unity Platform, Honorable Robert Ssentamu Kyagulanyi, a leading opposition party in the Parliament of Uganda, who shall be spoken about more in as far as the continuation of the activity for today is concerned. But without further ado, would like to invite the head of department, Ms. Afra Apio, to deliver the message from our esteemed CEO as we prepare to engage in a meaningful and thought-provoking conversation. And may these deliberations that we are going to engage in today contribute to the advancement of social justice and human rights in Uganda. Thank you so much.
Esteemed guests, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, President, National Unity Platform, Advocate Leader Zedriga Waru, Deputy President, Northern Uganda, Advocate David Louis Rubongoya, Secretary General, Anup, Honorable Sewungu Joseph, MP Kalungu West, and Advocate of the High Court of Uganda, and esteemed members of your entourage from NUP headquarters, Makerere Kavule. Allow me also recognize the presence of advocates in the room. Advocate Benjamin Katana, Advocate Elias Nalukuola, Advocate Abed Nasa Mujopole. Distinguished council members present, both physically and online, Mr. Eddie Nangulu, Council Member Eastern and Interim Secretary, presently representing the RNB Governing Council members, Presidents of the Rule of Law Clubs, distinguished members of the Uganda Law Society, present both physically and online, members of the press, and the public, present both physically and online. Good morning. My name is Apio Afra. I am the head rule of law, Uganda Law Society. I am representing the CEO, Ms. Christina Wari, who is currently indisposed. My chief task this morning is to read her welcome remarks verbatim, and I shall proceed to do so. On behalf of the Radical Nuba President, Mr. Isaac Semakade Senior Counsel, I am delighted to welcome you all to the 27th session of the Rnblive series, a hybrid digital and physical engagement convened every Thursday to foster dialogue between the Radical Nuba, the press, and the public. This innovative platform is the brainchild of our dynamic RNB president, and it has grown to become a vibrant space for legal and civil discourse. We are deeply grateful to you all who take time to engage with us week after week. Your participation fuels our mission. This week, we break with the tradition of hosting the Rnblive on Tuesday so as to accommodate our keynote speaker today, who has pre-scheduled engagements on Thursday. We thank him and the NUP Secretariat for demonstrating flexibility in fixing this date despite a very demanding political program ahead. The 27th Rnblive has taken on additional significance for the ULS fraternity in light of yesterday's deeply saddening news of the passing of Justice Professor Dr. William Kanyehamba, Senior Counsel, a distinguished jurist, academic, and patriot. Justice Kanyehamba served with distinction as a Justice of the Supreme Court from 1997 to 2009. He was widely respected for his fearless diction and unwavering commitment to the rule of law. His judgments were grounded in principle, in courage, and relentless pursuit of truth and justice. They will surely remain a cornerstone of Uganda's jurisprudence for generations to come. Beyond the courtroom, Justice Kanyehamba made remarkable contributions to legal scholarship and education. He was a prolific academic and author with seminal works such as Constitutional and Political History of Uganda from 1894 to present, and The Blessings and Joy of Being Who You Are, which continue to inspire and educate future generations of lawyers, judges, and scholars. He made history when he dedicated his entire library to the Faculty of Law at Kampala International University, where he was the first chancellor. His impact extended to the very foundation of our nation. As chair of the Legal Committee of the Constituent Assembly, he played a pivotal role in drafting of Uganda's 1995 Constitution, a legacy of enduring significance. He also served with distinction as Attorney General, Minister of Commerce, and Minister of Justice, using his deep legal expertise to shape Uganda's legal framework and democratic institutions. We extend our heartfelt condolences to his family, friends, and all who were touched by his life and work. As we reflect on his extraordinary legacy, let us be reminded of the values he championed: integrity, justice, and fidelity to the law. Shall we now stand and observe a moment of silence in his honor? May his soul rest in eternal peace. As we officially enter the political season, it is imperative to reaffirm that the bar remains neutral and open to all political parties to report their respective concerns with the administration of law. In keeping with this solemn affirmation of the independence of the legal profession, today we are pleased to host Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, National Unity Platform President. Earlier, on 3rd July 2025, we hosted Major General Retired Mugisha Muntu, President of Alliance for National Transformation. On 24th April, we hosted Her Excellency Major Jessica Rose Epel Alupo, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, who represented the President of the Republic of Uganda and Chairman of the NRM at the commemoration of the life of the late His Holiness Pope Francis. On 21st March, we hosted Honorable Norbert Mao, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs and President of Democratic Party. On 16th January, we hosted Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago, who has been appointed the President of the People's Front for Freedom, and we will continue to provide this platform for all other political actors. This initiative aligns squarely with Section 3D of the Uganda Law Society Act 1956, which mandates the Uganda Law Society to inform and educate the public on matters that concern them. Presently, our engagement with political parties forms part of a broader effort to combat and eradicate electoral violence and safeguard electoral integrity through inclusive dialogue with all stakeholders. To the Rnb Council and all our dedicated Secretariat staff who work tirelessly to ensure the success of each Rnblive session, your commitment, professionalism, and teamwork are truly commendable. I am sincerely grateful. Today, we are privileged to host Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, the President of NUP, who will deliver the keynote address on a timely and vital topic, lawyers as agents of social justice through upholding human rights and electoral integrity. As we reflect on today's theme, let us remember this. Each of us, whether seated here or joining us virtually, has a role to play in the upcoming elections, and the role begins now. Through our clarion call, Bang the Table, Back on Track, the Radical New Bar reaffirms its unwavering commitment to ending inhumane and degrading practices and ensuring that Uganda's electoral processes uphold dignity, fairness, and the rule of law. In that spirit, we warmly invite you to join our Alliance Against Electoral Violence, a collaborative effort to champion electoral integrity across the nation. Thank you all for your kind attention and your continued support. I have a small announcement to make. UAY 539B. Okay. I now take this singular opportunity to invite Mr. Eddie Nangulu. Thank you.
We need to adjust this, and I think since my brother is taller than me, he may need to adjust it further. Good morning, everybody. We are delighted to host you this morning. There is that aura of something good is about to happen in this room here, and indeed, Mr. President, something good is about to happen. Allow me adopt the protocol as laid down, but again also express I've been rescued by my brother here. Thank you. This is much better. I will not have to lean over. Allow me welcome you, Mr. President, to our home. This is the home of the Radical New Bar. We host over 5,000 advocates. Many of them will bear stripes like yours. Many of them are eager to advance the cause for the rule of law. Many are eager to promote justice. Many are hungry, but also many have woken up to the realities of the day, that the rule of law is merely imaginary. The courts of law are merely a fiction, a fallacy. They do not deliver basic observance of human rights. There are no guarantees in this country. And so when we even gathered to listen to you this evening, we are eager that from this address, those that have been sleeping shall wake up, that those that have been slumbering will hear your voice. The Radical New Bar has been calling out the voices for change to stand up and be counted. Our brother here has already stood with us here. But there is a clarion call for every member, every Ugandan to stand on the right side of the rule of law. Many of them haven't had that call, mostly because of, I think, who is calling. As a charismatic leader, my hope is that they will hear your voice. Now, those are words coming from me. I wrote down something to read, but I had to first deliver what is near and dear to me. When you began your campaigns in 2000, at the past elections, you were in Mbale, and among your first talk shows that they prohibited you from attending was in Mbale. You came out strongly and fought for your rights to address the public. A case was filed, I remember that time there, and on occasion I used to appear with the council on brief at that time. But it was a different day for us in the regions because Ugandans had never come out to speak for themselves. Even the lawyers had never come out to advocate for their individual rights. When you came out and we witnessed heavy police deployment at the court premises, we witnessed violence, prohibitions, and all manner of impediment to prevent you from appearing in court. I remember on the second last day before the matter was disposed, I appeared on that day, and when they asked me where you were, your vehicle had been seized and had been impounded, and you had been denied the means of accessing the court. And when I told that to the court, it wasn't convinced. It presumed that there was a desire not to attend court. But as a matter of fact, and even as I will go on, you will observe that the rule of law activists and the fighters for justice are victims of oppression. Many of them are being subdued. Many of them are being suppressed. Right now, our own president can't be with us here, Mr. President. He began the strongest advocacy that we have ever witnessed within the legal profession. That advocacy disturbed and disrupted many persons that weren't pleased with hearing the truth. The sad thing about our state is that when they are told the truth, their recourse is to suppress the truth. They suppress the voices of truth. They suppress any meaningful voices for reform and change. Right now, he can't be with us here today because of what he was saying, because of what he was calling out against the powers that be. It displeased them. We are running a race to ensure he returns as early as possible. But just like you and just like all of us, we are caught up in an oppressive system, one that subdues any meaningful voice of reason. But we cannot be subdued. we can't be subdued. When we recall your ordeal in Arua and in many other areas that you've been, and your strong voices for change, what we draw from that is we cannot allow the oppressors to take the day. We can't allow the oppressors to take the day. When you listen to our president, wherever he is, he bangs the table from there. Wherever he's sitting, he's banging the table. Even with the chains around his legs and hands, he bangs the table. After that case there, we went on to represent a number of your agents who had been arrested. At that time there, because of the charisma you had shown, everybody admired your agenda. And the only way that they would disperse those persons and those voices of change was to lock them up. Mr. President, a number of your agents were locked up on charges of robbery, on charges of treason. Many of them, as a matter of fact, haven't been released. We did support some of them at that time. And then, because of a thing or two, we lost track of the matters. But we are heading back into the same cycle. And the only known way of prohibiting the truth from being heard is to lock it up, to chain it, to silence it. But we can't be silenced. Our voices won't be silenced. My name is Edin Angolo. I didn't begin with that. But everybody here knows me, as a matter of fact, except my brother here. You don't know me, but everybody here will tell you that they do know me. In just a minute, okay. Today's Rnblive is one of its kind. Unlike the usual business, today we are having a public lecture from a notable figure, one that has been drawn from the trenches. He's one of us. He bears our stripes. He bears our scars. He bears our hunger. He bears our passions. But also, while we suffer pessimism, he bears optimism. And as he will embark on his lecture later on, we hope that his voices and his call shall be heard by those that are in the deepest of sleep, those that have given up, those that have succumbed. I want to thank the members who are attending online, the members who are attending physically. I want to thank our team that is on ground now, who has made today possible. This is an important day because our country is at a critical point. We are looking into the 2026 general elections. This period presents an opportunity and a test for democracy. As the country once again prepares to go to the ballot and choose leaders, we must be reminded that there have been challenges in our past elections. We have witnessed violence, intimidation, vote rigging, disenfranchisement, and a number of human rights violations. If anybody has forgotten, we have a living example sitting in front of us here. Our own brother's shirt was torn, he was bundled up and mistreated, and becoming of an advocate of his stature. But these are the scars that we must bear, my brother. These are the scars that we must bear. Our president keeps on saying that no one shall know the tale until they get to experience the difficulties we've experienced. During such times, there's a critical question that we must answer on the role of the legal profession. As lawyers, as defenders of justice, as human rights promoters, and as guardians of constitutional order, what is our role in this process? Our guest speaker this morning will take us deeper from his own experience of the electoral cycle and the human rights as a whole. ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure and my singular honor to invite Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu to discuss with us lawyers as agents of social justice through upholding human rights and electoral integrity. He's a lawyer, an artist, social activist, a leader, philanthropist. He is the president of the National Unity Platform. In 2017 to 2021, he was an independent member of parliament. And during that time there, he set up the People Power Movement, a force to reckon with in Uganda's political dispensation. But before politics, he was a successful musician who used his talent and celebrity status to appeal, to advocate for social justice and the rule of law alongside other issues that concern the common man. Since joining politics in 2017, he has remained at the forefront of the struggle for freedom, human rights, good governance, and democracy. This has made him a symbol of resistance and hope for many. He brings a unique perspective as both a leader and a lawyer who has been stretched to the limits and possibilities of Uganda's legal system. He and his supporters have been abducted, illegally detained, persecuted, subjected to all forms of inhumane treatment, and yet they continue. They continue in this pursuit. Allow me invite him to address us this morning. Thank you so much.
Well, council member mentioned that I might be taller than him, and I was feeling flattered all the time until I got to the microphone, only to realize that I'm probably shorter than him. Mr. President, in absentia, and the entire Radical New Bar, distinguished members of the bar, students of justice, fellow citizens, friends and frenemies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I saw some people giggling, but yes, you cannot be in a gathering and only expect friends, so we have to recognize all people. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm deeply honored by the invitation to address this very important gathering of the land friends. Today actually becomes even more significant following the passing of a giant of constitutional law in Uganda, Professor George Wilson Kanyehamba, a man who has championed the rule of law in Uganda at great personal risk and sacrifice. In fact, today, everything that I want to say to you can be simply summed up by a call to the lawyers of this generation to simply emulate the life, the works, the words and actions of Professor Kanyehamba. He was a man willing to sacrifice everything, including friends, status, material benefits, everything, for the sake of advancing constitutionalism and the rule of law in Uganda. May the Almighty God receive his gentle soul in heaven. Friends, as a young boy growing up in Kamocha, it was always my dream to become a lawyer. Because apart from the poverty, ignorance, and disease that are always the major problems in the ghettos, in our ghetto there was one prevalent problem, and that was injustice. And I always thought to myself as a child growing up that I would be better positioned to address that injustice if I became a lawyer. But again, like many children in Uganda with big dreams and limited means, when I missed out on government sponsorship, that dream died, at least for a while. In the year 2000, studying law on private sponsorship was simply out of question for a person like myself from a background that I was coming from, because the cost was just prohibitive. Tuition fees for just one semester in law school when I joined Makerere was enough to buy a plot of land in Nansana. Yes, only the rich could afford it. And what did I have to do? Is to take another choice that I could afford. Well, thank God, many years later, when life allowed me the means and time, my dream resurrected. And in my 40s, last year, I graduated from law school. I didn't expect you to clap. I expected you to say, oh, sorry. The only person I expected to clap was Council Malema Birizi. Friends, for me, that actually was the first major realistic encounter with social justice, or rather social injustice. Because yes, while government sponsorship should indeed be reserved for the brightest amongst us, but even those students who come from remote districts with limited facilities and therefore not able to compete fairly with others, especially those in town, should at least be presented with an opportunity for them to pursue their dreams. After all, isn't it the duty of government to subsidize for their citizens and make dreams achievable for even the commonest of their citizens? Because you see, when the rich are the ones that can afford to dream, and the poor can even not dare to aspire, then society ceases to be society. It becomes just a market. Many dreams of the underprivileged people are destroyed in their infancy, and the society is not a society that every citizen can be proud of. So that brings me to the question, what then is social justice? What is it? We all define it in different ways. But in my humble view, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like social justice at its core is the principle that every person, regardless of their status, regardless of their background, deserves and indeed achieves equal chances, equal opportunity, equal rights, and equal protection by the law. Unfortunately, today, in this nation that we call home, that is actually not the case. In Uganda, the law is nothing more than the paper on which it is written. The regime of the day will twist the law to its interest. It will use it as a weapon, just like any other weapon at its disposal. If it serves them, then they will praise the law, they will honor it, and they will sing it. And that is most especially when it serves them to silence critics and to keep political opponents in prison. Whenever the law stands in their way, like it did during the constitutional term limits and the age limit, they conveniently kick it down the drain. In Uganda today, the 48-hour rule, as stated by the Constitution, is nothing to be considered. They abduct citizens, and they even boast about it. They keep them in incommunicado detention for days, weeks, months, and sometimes even years. And then, at their convenience, they present them to the courts of law and nothing is done. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, speaks of two ironies. The first irony is that the person presiding over all this impunity, and that's General Museveni, while he was addressing this very law society that I'm addressing today, on the 25th of February 1987, he spoke so passionately. He said the law can be manipulated against the people. He said, and I quote, "Depending on the nature of the state in a given society, the law can be an instrument of oppression and exploitation, or an instrument of social justice and progress. Law," he went on and said, "law is not always synonymous with justice. It can be, but also it may not be. What is legal is not necessarily just. Law can be used by the strong against the weak. It can be used by the rich against the poor, and it can be used by the minority against the majority." That was General Museveni on the 25th of February 1987. And yet today, in defense of the regime, you will find many outstanding lawyers saying, but that is what the law says, without even wondering or asking themselves whether that law is just or unjust. And the second irony, and perhaps the most painful one, is that most of these abuses, most of these wrongdoings, most of this arm twisting of the law are facilitated by lawyers. I mean, if I may ask, who drafts the oppressive laws like the UPDF Amendment Act of 2025 and the Public Order Management Act? Lawyers. Who sanctions fake charges against regime critics? Lawyers. Who prosecutes citizens like Kizza Besigye in complete violation of due process? Lawyers. Who remands victims like Eddie Mutwe, torture victims, clearly tortured people, who reminds them to prison? People like Eddie Mutwe, people like Akwenza Lokaira Basaija, who sends them to prison instead of sending them to the hospital? Lawyers. Ask yourself, who has frustrated our electoral justice system in Uganda to the extent that it's clear that overturning a presidential election in Uganda is harder than a camel passing through the needle, the eye of a needle? That is lawyers. Today in Uganda, those who steal taxpayers' money are protected by the criminal justice system, while those who protest against them are punished. They are abducted, they are tortured, they are even raped in custody. Today, Uganda, and indeed the criminal justice system in Uganda, is teaching our children that it is okay to steal, but it is criminal to speak out against theft. The Supreme Court of Uganda, the highest court of the land, passes a judgment ordering the state to stop trying civilians in military courts, and the regime simply ignores the decision, a decision of the highest court of the land, and business continues as usual. Elections are rigged with impunity. Petitions challenging the rigging are decided even before they are heard. Now, this is even more painful. A justice of the Supreme Court had to run out of the country for fear of her life just because she dared to decide our petition judiciously. Her crime was stating that it was unreasonable to expect me to collect evidence and prepare my petition on time when I was under house arrest for more than half the time provided by the Constitution. Not even to say that that time is enough, but for more than half of the time I was in detention. And she mentioned it, and for that, she is in exile. When we complain about all these illegalities, the courts are very quick to invoke the political question doctrine. Now, when courts choose doctrine over truth and theory over justice, then we find ourselves back to 1966. In 1966, the court was facing a violent overthrow of the 1962 constitution. It chose political expediency over constitutional legitimacy. You all remember that in the case of Uganda versus Commission of Prisons, ex parte Matovu. The ruling in that case became the first post-colonial excuse, and every regime has used that to justify the using of guns to either silence or rewrite the law. Friends, you remember some 10 years ago, Professor Lokonyango wrote, and I agreed with him. He wrote about this case and said, in many ways, this case was both an ending and the beginning of Uganda. A very dangerous precedent was set, and it has continued to be an excuse to justify military takeovers and fraudulent elections to the present day. Now, another even more disturbing excuse which continues to impede our democracy is a so-called substantiality test. Under Section 61 of the Presidential Elections Act, the election of a presidential candidate can only be annulled upon proof, among others, that there was non-compliance with the law governing presidential elections, and please listen to this part very carefully, and that compliance affected the election result in a substantial manner. What do they mean, substantial manner? What exactly do they mean? You will note that in all the past presidential election petitions, the Supreme Court of Uganda has always conveniently used this so-called substantiality test as an excuse to overlook the proven and glaring vote rigging together with the electoral violence by the military and the police. All that has always been done in favor of General Museveni, but the court has always overlooked that. Even when they know that every single act of rigging or every irregularity, however big or however small it is, was done precisely to alter the result of the election. And also knowing very clearly that no one rigs the election just for the sake of rigging. They rig it to win. But again, they always bring the substantiality test as an excuse. And they always overlook the facts to decide what they want to decide. Friends, lawyers should have the moral courage to call it exactly what it is: judicial cowardice, dressed as legal doctrine. Ladies and gentlemen, that judicial cowardice is what has failed our democracy, and it has kept our country moving in circles. It ignores the reality that in Uganda, electoral malpractice happens throughout the entire electoral process, from pre-electoral times to post-electoral times. I mean, you see abductions, you see torture of opponents, you see gerrymandering, you see internet blackouts, you see military deployments, you see open briberies, etc., etc. You don't just see the ballot stuffing and rigging on the day of the election. It happens long before, it happens during, and it happens long after. But the courts of law have always closed their eyes to that. If we had the rule of law in Uganda worth its name, then this was supposed to shake the entire legitimacy of the entire electoral process, but it does not. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court judges always choose to favor the regime just because they feel safe doing that than upholding the rule of law. So, dear land friends, I think it is high time that lawyers stop acting like they are safe in this burning house called Uganda. Friends, you are not safe. In a burning house, in a sinking boat, nobody is safe. So don't even lie to yourself. We are here, but I look around and see that all of you lawyers are just as vulnerable as the ghetto people where I come from. Right before me, Council Mudiobole there was abducted and kept incommunicado for almost a week. He is a lawyer. That alone is supposed to speak to all of us, ladies and gentlemen. Peter Chibirango was a lawyer, but when he walked into a reckless community, he was suspected to be a thief, and he was beaten to death. Ivan Bakesiga was a successful lawyer in his own right, but when illness came, he was as vulnerable as anybody else. He tried to fundraise, but eventually he died. All of us, I mean, who does not remember Bob Kasango? Yes, he was controversial, but he was a very good lawyer. And he was a very wealthy man by any standards. But he died in prison, denied bail, and by extension denied the medical attention that he so badly needed. He passed away. Now, I want all of you present here today and those watching us online to ask yourself that if Mudiobole, a renowned lawyer, if Bob Kasango, if Ivan, if Peter, if they're not safe, why do you think you are safe? Why do you think you're any different? Now, please remember that no one is safe in a lawless society. Not even you, the lawyers. You may have degrees. You may have titles. You may be successful. You may be well known. But when this regime crushes constitutionalism completely, you are the next that they're going to come for. I promise you that. If Uganda collapses, as we all see, it surely will, if we don't do what we must do. Every one of us is going to be as vulnerable. If the country burns, it will burn you as hot as it burns a border rider in Chifumbira or in Chebando or in Kamocha. You're not going to be any different. So, my dear land friends, my humble request is that you join the rest of the citizens in saving this country. You lawyers of all citizens best understand the problem of Uganda. And by that, you can be part of the solution if you choose to be. And that way, we shall all be safe. Because like we continuously say, all of us will be safe or no one will be safe. I want you to remember, ladies and gentlemen, that history is calling. Different generations of lawyers in Uganda have always risen to the occasion whenever history has called. You all remember that it was lawyers, including the now gone Justice Kanyehamba. It was lawyers that were the driving force in the Moshi Conference, which culminated into the liberation of Uganda from the Amin dictatorship. And yes, it was lawyers like Council Ssentamu Njuba, who was once president of this very society, the Uganda Law Society, that rose to the occasion, closed his chambers, folded his sleeves, and joined the rest of the citizens in the 80s to try and liberate this country and return the rule of law that he so dearly believed in. He did not sit in his chambers when history was calling for his involvement. He got involved, and you too can get involved. I want you to know, friends, that while you're young, while you might look at yourself as unready, please be reminded that we are the Kanyehambas of this generation. We are the Ssentamu Njubas of this generation. Do not doubt your abilities. There's no other important time to take action than now. Allow me to also remind you, dear land friends, that this right here is the most consequential time in history of Uganda. This right here is the most effective time for you to get involved. This is the most interesting time to be alive and to be mature and to be in this room this time. The second best, no, the best was yesterday, the second best is now. but let's consider it as the best and then do what we must do. I'll also borrow some words from the great author called Frantz Fanon. He said, every generation must discover its mission and then decide to either pursue and fulfill that mission or betray it. I have no doubt that you lawyers here have already discovered your mission, and the world is looking at you to watch you either pursue that mission and fulfill it or betray that mission for convenience. The ball is right in your hands. Friends, you are the hope of this generation. You are the lawyers of this generation. When history is being written, your name will be among the lawyers that were present in 2025 when everything is going south. So we are already having a responsibility and a burden on our shoulders. I want to tell you, friends, that it is not enough for you lawyers to protect your contracts. It is not enough for you to represent banks and big businesses while you're ignoring the political prisoners. Some lawyers say they are neutral. They say the law is not political. But the law has always been political. I mean, it is political when Bobby Young is taken to prison for putting on red. It is political when Justice Chisache runs to exile just because she ruled against the regime. So lawyers must pick a side because justice in itself is political. And in a time of injustice, neutrality is complicity. In this time, lawyers must pick a side, either the side of the law or the side of lawlessness. You cannot stay in the middle. I want to pause and I want to request most of you, in fact all of us, to pause for a second and imagine this. The Attorney General, the chambers of the Attorney General of this country, a man who brought the UPDF Act Amendment of 2025 to drag civilians back into military tribunals, his chambers share a wall with these very headquarters of Uganda Law Society. Please pause and think about that. I'll say that again. The private chambers of the Attorney General, of the man, the Attorney General, Chirio Wachiwanuka, the man who presented the UPDF Amendment Act of 2025 to drag civilians back to military courts. His chambers are sharing a wall with the Uganda Law Society office where we are now. And his partner in those chambers is not just any other lawyer. He is the son-in-law of General Museveni, the man at the helm of this regime. So now that is legal political marriage standing just meters away from us. Just pause and imagine that for a second. The politics is in the law, and the law is in the politics. They are both mixed and mingled. And yet some lawyers say they are neutral. They say the law is not political. And meanwhile, the president of the Uganda Law Society, Council Isaac Semakadde, is in exile, largely because of his opinions. Now that is supposed to tell you everything that you need to know about the system. That even the society that is meant to defend lawyers cannot defend itself. And by the way, friends, don't get me wrong. I don't want to come off as if I'm pretending not to understand where we are. I know we're not living in France. I know we're living in Uganda under General Museveni. So I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand the complexities of legal practice under dictatorship. I know that every lawyer here knows about the fate of the former Chief Justice of Uganda, Ben Chiwanuka. I know that all lawyers in Uganda know that he was picked from his chambers and he has never been seen again up to the present day. So I can imagine the fear in the activist lawyers as they go about their work under this dictatorship. But again, friends, we must face it, because we cannot just resign to fate as if there's nothing that we can do about it. There's definitely something that we can do about it. If anything, it calls for us to be even more bold and more determined and face it with even more courage, because if lawyers don't speak up, then who will speak up against lawlessness? I recognize among you many noble lawyers that have not shied away whenever justice has called them. I want to thank you. I salute the legal team of the National Unity Platform for rising to the occasion and putting their fear aside to defend our members and our supporters and our fellow citizens against oppression and injustice. I salute the relentless work of lawyers like Counsel Aaron Chiza. I salute Counsel Ladarius Wakafuzi. I salute Counsel George Musisi and many other lawyers whose practice has become synonymous with activism despite the risks. You guys are not just lawyers, you're patriots. And I want you to know that we hold you in the highest regard. Thank you very much. We all are strong and continue to be strong because of your example. I will also thank some of our brothers in the legal fraternity, people like Counsel Mabirizi. Thank you for always being a problem. Because you always challenge us to be the better versions of ourselves. I'm glad that none of your challenges has gotten me off guard, and I hope none will get me off guard. We are not your friends. I mean, we are not your enemies, our brothers. We are colleagues trying to make Uganda better. And indeed, we must always keep each other in check and be open to be checked, because that's the best way we are going to be servant leaders. Brothers and sisters, today I want to dedicate this, my presentation, to the late Anthony Wameri, a lawyer whose commitment to defending victims of political persecution will remain imprinted in the memory of our struggle. Thank you very much. May his memory live in us forever. And to you now, the lawyers, the students of justice, and the citizens of Uganda, I say this. Please look back at the different generations of lawyers throughout Uganda's constitutional and political history, and please reflect on what they did when the nation was losing its way. Then pause a little and ask yourself, will your future self look back with pride to your present self? Will your future self be proud of the decisions and the position and the stand that you took today? That's a question that you don't have to answer right now, but I hope it's a question that will keep lingering in your mind. My brothers and sisters, it is a moral challenge to all of us lawyers. It is a moral challenge because if the law speaks, then lawyers must be the voice through which that law speaks. We must be the conscience that refuses to go numb. We must be the dream that refuses to die. We must be the truth that refuses to hide behind neutrality and technicality. Uganda is not short of lawyers. You are many, we are many. But Uganda is short of courageous lawyers. Lawyers who refuse to sell their values for convenience and for comfort. Lawyers who understand that justice is not a job description. Justice is a calling. If the law is being used as a weapon against the people, then let the lawyers be the shield. If the Constitution is under attack, let the lawyers be the defenders of the Constitution. As a lawyer, you should be found standing at all times. You should be found standing morally in the courtroom. You should be found standing in the streets. You should be found standing in history. And if your children and grandchildren are to ask one day, your answer should be that when the time came, I stood on the right side of history. Whether or not that will be your answer to your grandchildren is for you now to decide. I thank you very much, friends, for listening to me, and God bless you.
All right, another round of applause for the President. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Mr. President, for those thought-provoking statements, your wisdom shared, your personal experience. We have a lot of stories about you. We are so honored that you're able to come and share with us. We have a lot of respect for you. I come from Arua. I was one of the people who was in Arua at that time. It wasn't a very nice experience, but your bravery has brought us this far. We thank you so much, and we continue to pray that the Lord bless you in all your endeavors. We're very sure of you. You're just one of us. We love you, and we're not going to stop until the time comes right that the Lord has answered your prayers. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, those physically present and those online, we are very honored to have you with us, and this is the Radical New Bar at the best thing that it does. Our tenets: democratization, decolonization, digital transformation, and militarization. What we are doing today, and we have had very beautiful statements from the President, a lot of take-homes that we are going to use into the next agenda item, which is question and answer. Mr. President, we thank you that you're able to be here with us. We'd like to delve into question and answer. We know there are questions in the house. There are also questions online. We'd like to take a few minutes to go into that session. And we have a microphone over here moving around with Samantha, are you in? Ladies and gentlemen, time for questions of what has just been shared by the President, please. Do we have? Okay. We got one question here, Mr. President, from one Gerald Odong. He is asking, Honorable, we need you as a member of the Uganda Law Society Radical New Bar. What are you doing? When are you doing the bar course and becoming a member? Mr. President, these are not our questions. We are picking questions from the general public and some from members. I would request that you receive them with grace, like you've always done, and feel free to answer them. We shall also, through you, allow you to maybe pass the questions that you think can be answered by your panel so as to engage the public. And ladies and gentlemen, you're also allowed to ask the panel available. They're all distinguished, interestingly, lawyers. Ladies and gentlemen, let's clap for the panel today. It's a full lawyer panel. Thank you. That's the Radical New Bar. Thank you. The other question is from one Goreti Nambi. Goreti says, thank you, our President, for your courage and bravery. My question is about overstay in power. Sometimes members of the opposition fault the incumbent president for overstay in power. However, there have also been MPs of their regions for too long and are not giving young people the chance to serve. What is your opinion on that? And given that you have been the NUP president for 2 terms, will you be willing to step down in future? I hope that was succinct. Is it sufficient, Mr. President? Thank you. We have Mr. Shafiq Were. Thank you so much for the questions. Many Ugandans have lost hope in Ugandan politics. Majority don't even go to vote. What is your message to us who don't have hope and do not plan on voting in 2026? Mr. President, we shall allow you the grace to answer those three as the others are flowing, and the public physically present is also going to take time to ask a few questions. Thank you. You can activate the microphone. Is that okay?
Mic check, 1, 2. That's right.
Respect, respect.
Yeah. Thank you very much. They're rather interesting questions. Why, when are you joining the bar? When am I going for the bar course? Friends, I'm a problem person. It would be embarrassing, but because of my circumstances, it's actually interesting to mention that while others study the law degree for 4 years, I studied it for 7 years. Because for 7 years and in 2 universities, because of the political situation that you see in Uganda, in and out of the classroom, in and out of prison. And the situation has not changed. I'm thankful that I was able to accomplish this, and it's my desire to become a real lawyer, because I know that a lawyer that has not done a bar course is like a horse with a broken back. So I am aware that there's something missing. However, there's more important work that we're doing. Guys, we are removing a dictator. And when that is done, when time allows, I'll definitely go back, and I'll be very proud to join the bar then. About overstaying power. For clarity, I don't believe in overstaying power. John Museveni said it, and I agree with him, that the problem with Uganda, in particular, and Africa in general, are the leaders that overstay in power. It's not written anywhere that, you know, a leader should stay and stay and stay and stay. If a leader does not inspire other leaders to come and take over from that leader, then that leader has failed. So I don't believe in overstaying power. I know that majority, if not all leaders, say exactly what I'm saying before they get into power. General Museveni was saying exactly what I'm saying, only more eloquent, when he was my age. But he's the same person that does not want to be reminded of what he said when he was my age. I know that. So, knowing that, I also know that good leaders are not born out of their own hearts, are born out of the situation. So, it's a reason why we started the People Power Movement, because our power is with the people. And also, it's our desire to inspire as many new and young leaders as possible, so that they are available to replace us. But also, we believe mainly in institutions that outlive human greed and human weaknesses. I don't want to be the all-knowing guy, the big boss, the big daddy, the strong man. That syndrome we must demystify, we must destroy, and we must flush in the dustbins of history. So I believe that leaders should come and leaders should go and give way to other leaders. You mentioned about MPs that have overstayed in position. Run against them. When I saw that Museveni had overstayed in power, I did not just sit on the periphery to complain. I showed up, cut off my dreads, put on a tie, and I took on the guy and defeated him. And now we want to defeat him again. So don't just speak from the periphery. Step up and present yourselves. Not just for the sake of challenging the guy that overstayed in power, but present new ideas, present new options, convince people. Majority of us are young people. So why don't you show up and present your options and people will believe in you, and we shall move on. And finally, Shafiq said many people are losing hope. And what's the message? Bro, freedom comes to those who fight, not those who cry or give up. The more you cry, the more your people continue to die, and after the death of your people, you're the next to die. So rise the occasion and do what you must do. You know, giving up is not, and it even depresses me to listen to a young person. You're giving up on a guy who is 84, and you're giving up. The people that are for us have already gone past their future is behind them. You're in your 20s, your 30s, and you're giving up. Come on, man. There's a lot of time for us to be there, and that time will either be a time of suffering or a time of enjoyment. It depends on what we do now. There's no time of giving up. There's no time for giving up. Get up, let's fold our sleeves and do what we must do to prepare a country that we shall grow old in, and a country where we shall raise our children. That's my answer to you. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. Were has gotten his answer. Bro, we have to fight together. Yeah, respect. We have a question from a gentleman here.
Yes, Mr. President, I'm called Seka. Mr. President, I work with Onowino newspaper. Then I'm going to ask mine in Luganda because you write for Luganda readers. Sebo President, ng'akaluluka biri abiri mugumuka akagwa. President mpitireyo bagamba nti wagamba nti n'omwaka tegujja kuwera nga ndakyemalira tonnamujja mu buyinza. Ne we tutuukidde olwaleero nga ndakyemalira akyali entebe mu ntebe. Entebe yo akyagirimu. President gamba bannayuganda n'abavubuka abakukkirizaamu ennyo bukodyo ki bw'ogenda okukozesa okulaba nga nakyemalira ava mu ntebe yo, oba ogenda kumulinda afe bufimu Katonda amujje mu ntebe.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Chiseka. Mr. President, we would like to request that we have a round of questions because we have been informed that your schedule is already tight. We shall allow a few more questions, not so many. Then we can run the schedule faster than now. The President has been with us for a while now. Let's run our questions so fast.
Thank you. My name is Derek Wandera. I am a journalist of the Daily Monitor. I think this is the best forum for me to raise this question. Mr. President of NUP and your panel, we have heard from you several times saying you've taken different channels of addressing injustice in Uganda, including going to the East African Court of Justice and at some point the ICC about the injustices here. Well, your party still lingers around looking for about 18 people whose whereabouts have never been seen today, maybe 5 years ago until today. What are the other channels you're doing to bring hope to the families of these 18 people?
Thank you so much.
Because we've always used the justice system. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. We request that you just take those questions. There's one behind, please. Around 2 over there.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Moya Ibrahim. And like you, I have got my law degree in my 40s. You said here that during times of injustice, neutrality is complicity. But it is also true that in history, we have never had a community of only brave men. You have called upon lawyers to take the challenge and lead the struggle for change. What message do you have for those who have vestiges of cowardice in their hearts?
Thank you. Thank you. Next question. We're running out of time. Mr. President, I hope that is sufficient. You taking note? Thank you. I'm sorry?
Mr. President, Magom Ivan, aka People's Advocate, is my name. Mr. President, with due respect to all questions asked to you because you're the head of state, but I want to be inclined to the theme of today about lawyers. Mr. President, just like you said, it took you 7 years to complete your law degree, but I want to tell you that it may take you 14 years to get your practicing certificate. I want to use this platform to bang the table to inform you to charge the people who can influence, because I know we have a shadow government, but you're also the president of this country. Mr. President, I want to report to you that it can take 7 years or even more after one completing the law degree or even the bar course, but they don't get their practicing certificates. This in one way or the other affects the justice system. Some of us who would want maybe to participate actively are stopped.
Thank you so much.
So from this perspective,
yes,
you can reach out to the law because he's in parliament or any other alternative and rally lawyers to challenge the law council to expedite the process of getting practicing certificates so that we can participate in the change of this country.
Thank you so much. 2 more questions behind over there.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I think you know me. I'm the citizen. My OB, how are you? Mr. Kyagulanyi? Musomesa, how are you? Yes. For me, as I always tell you every week, the Human Rights Commission is where human rights go to die. The Ugandan judiciary is where justice goes to die. The Election Commission is where elections go to die. I think we saw what happened last week on Thursday. They decourt-listed Uganda Law Society. So therefore, Mr. President, and I put it to you, and my question to you is, can't we create a new system which does not involve, at least for the elections, the Ugandan judiciary, create some sort of tribunals which can handle election petitions expeditiously, so that at least the lawyers show that they're doing something. Because running to Dolo's incompetent judiciary, we have a corrupt judge at Court of Appeal, there's, I'm told, a rapist judge at Court of Appeal, we have, oh, really? You can say our judiciary is just from, and it's the very judiciary condemning its own for being corrupt, for being, you know, all sorts of things. So therefore, can't you have that platform, a separate, maybe tribunals which handle election petitions, and then, you know, help us handle that, such that we don't have to keep on appealing. Council Nalukola's win has been challenged. It was decided, Court of Appeal, we don't know when it will hear. So thank you, Mr. President. Can't we have that forum? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, will you take that for now?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
I thought...
thank you very much. The questions are interesting. Now, Chiseka asked me in Uganda, Chiseka, simanyi gwe umalo Chiseka? Mwebamu. I know that we are supposed to use a national language, but again, I understand the language in which he asked. Thank you. Thank you. It had to be Malema. Thank you for the correction. For the first time, you got me almost off guard.
All right. So rubber dub style.
And rubber dub style.
Rubber dub.
Yeah, so, nsaba muzikirize Chiseka Mwanukule mu Luganda. Chiseka wabuuziza nti nabagamba nti n'omwaka tegujja kuwera nga Museveni mugjeeko. Era nombuuza nti bukodyo ki bwe ngenda okozesa. Kati olaba mani. Mba njagala nnyo ne munfuna bulungi naddala mwe bannamawulire. Era obuzibu obusinga okubeerawo mu nsi kwe kwogera ekigambo n'ekigenda okuva mu kamwako okutuuka eri abantu b'okigamba nga kikyusibwa emirundi 10. Nabagamba era nkiddamu nti Museveni bwe tuba tukoze kye tulina okukola n'omwezi tagumalako saagamba mwaka bwe tuba tukoze si bwe mba nkoze bwe tuba tukoze kye tulina okukola nga bannansi mwabo bannansi naawe kwoli singa obadde oyogedde Lujamani nandirowoozeza nti oba oli mu Congo naye engeri gy'olulimi kikakasa nti nawe oli Munnayuganda nga naawe kwoli era nenjagala obbasaba obuuza nti bukodyo ki bwe ngenda okukozesa njagala nnyo okubasaba mwenna abampuliriza abali wano n'abatulaba eyo tiena ensonga si ya Kyagulanyi yekka obuzibu bwe businga okuva mu nsonga za Uganda kwe kuzirekera omuntu omu Dr. Semogere tubikulekedde tulwanirire Dr. Besigye tubikulekedde tulwanirire paka bamukooya amaanyi negagwako Kyagulanyi najja Kyagulanyi twafuna gwe twamala temwafuna nze bwe muba mwafunange nange nabafuna mwe lwaki mwagala munfune nze neme bafuna so njagala bwe munfuna nange mbafune tukole kye tulina okukola kubanga mwe mujja n'okusinga okunyumirwa Uganda nga tumaze okutuuka mu nsi ensuubizi fe abamu bajja kuba batumenyemenya amagulu abalala tetukyalya mmere kutuwoomera abalala tetukyeyagala bulungi mu budde bw'ekiro olwabye batuyisizaamu so kye tulina okukola tulina kikola ffenna ng'eggwanga eno si nsonga ya Kyagulanyi eno nsonga yaffe ffenna era bwe tukola kye twetaaga okukola ne kiba nga tekinnatuukirira ekyo temukikozesa kuyeeya Kyagulanyi oba kujerega Kyagulanyi wabula mwefumiitirize mulabe oke kye tukozeeko kye kino wawe tukomye ki kye tusobola okwongerako okutuuka gye tulina okutuuka eyo engeri yokka gye tugenda okwetaasa ng'eggwanga. I thank you very much. Wandera asked me about different channels of addressing injustice. We have used different channels. We continue to pursue all avenues to fight for justice, to demand for our missing people, who the government, through the Prime Minister and very many other government officials, have come out and admitted having them, but they're not giving them to us. So we are pursuing every available legal and constitutional means. But again, we've not blocked the way, or we are not standing in the way of other Ugandans that are equally pained, that are pursuing other ways. In 1980, while the Bidandi Salis and the Semogeredes were pursuing political and legal means, Museveni and his friends pursued forceful and violent means. So just like the Bidandi Salis of the 80s, we are not standing in the way of those that are trying to free themselves by any means necessary. Obo mukategedde. Neutrality is complicity, but there's no community for only brave men, my brother said. And he's asking me, what advice do I have for the cowards? My brother, you the cowards, you better die. Anyway, on a serious note, and I will quote one of my friends. You see, I have so many friends in the music fraternity. And there's this friend of mine who annoys me so much, but is one of my favorite friends. His name is Chaga. I was chatting with Chaga one time, and I got angry. I said, you guys are our friends. You, Chaga, you are a known artist, you're a popular artist. Why the hell are you silent? Why don't you speak out? Because you are an artist, you are known. And Chaga says, Bobby, olaba, nembisera byaba Malcolm X ne ba Martin Luther King, waliwo bakyali baabwe nga bakawadi. In Luganda, Chaga said, you see, Bobby, even in the days of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, they had friends who were cowards. They did not kill them. So please don't kill me. I understand that our courage is not at the same levels. And I'm not in any way claiming to be courageous. I always say I'm desperate. I just don't have any other option. And I'm sure you too can be as courageous if you run out of options. But now that you still have full options and choose to identify as a coward, there's also something that you can do. Coward, this is what you can do. Number one, don't be used. If you can't be on the front line fighting for better or defending others, at least don't be used. There's this saying that we were told by Malcolm X that no one can make you a slave without your permission. We permit our oppressors with our actions or omissions. We facilitate our oppressors. So if you fear to do something, then don't do anything in support of the oppressor. But again, you can do something in a safe way. We are living in the days of social media. You can tweet and post and make sure you push a message forward. You can be underground. There are many people that you know and many that you don't know that are actually very helpful in our struggle. Some of them are even working in public offices. Some of them are officers in the regime. I won't give you their names. But because they fear to lose their jobs, they fear to lose their status, they fear to lose their life, they only help us or help the struggle silently. So in this day and age of options, clearly everybody can do something to further the struggle, even a coward. I thank you. Now, the People's Advocate asked me a question. He talked about a compromised system and a dysfunctional legal system. I'm very glad Senior Counsel Benjamin Katana had me, and I request that you permit me, ask him to help me respond to that with his seniority. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it is important for us to appreciate that there cannot be a safe room in a burning house. The industry, just like the rest of the country, is undergoing challenges on account of the dysfunctionality of the NRM regime. So the only way out is not to approach it piecemeal, pushing for faster processing of practicing certificates, that you are pushing for faster processing of ABC. It's important that we collectively work towards an overhaul of the entire system. And that will begin by removal of a dysfunctional regime and establish a government that is not extractive in nature, a government that is service-centered and people-centered, not a government that people. Today you will process that, but the next day you will go to Mulago Hospital and again you will be shocked by the dysfunctionality. The next day you will take your child and you will be shocked by the dysfunctionality. So, now, what we are experiencing now, technology is trying to sabotage my point, but nevertheless I will make it.
Okay, thank you. The regime is experiencing a multiple organ failure. And our responsibility as citizens of Uganda is to make sure that we put it to rest and bring into office a government that is people-centered. And I had a question about people being the cowards, the brave. I think it is very important for the people of Uganda and for you lawyers to appreciate that what we are involved in is not electoral competition with Museveni and the NRM regime. What we are involved in is a war to reclaim the soul of our nation. And so, you will not leave the work to be done on, you will say, I don't support NUP, or I do not support the leader of NUP. But this fight is for you as a citizen of Uganda, to make sure that a lawyer as advocate of the people or people's advocate, you are able to process your documentation without unnecessary delays. That when you go to hospital, you are able to be treated without unnecessary delays. So the people of Uganda must understand that what we are involved in is not an electoral competition, but a war to reclaim the soul of Uganda. And we must all embrace it, regardless of whether we like NUP, whether we like its leader or not. I thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Katana. The last question was more or less similar to the previous one, and it has been largely answered. However, there's a question that came through the message to those that have given up on elections. I gave it an answer, but that's a very important question that I want to have different perspectives about. So allow me, Councillor Bongoya, to invite you to respond to that question.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Very delighted to be here today. And the very interesting questions that have come on the floor. Well, our message is that the people of Uganda need to know that if you do not participate in elections and in governance, then you lose the right to complain when things go wrong. And that's what we've seen. We've seen, even with the massive rigging and election fraud that we see in all these elections, we see that the voter turnout is very, very low. Honorable Nalkola here, I don't remember what the exact percentage was, but it was below 20%. The people who turned out, below 20% of the people, so 14.4%. So you can imagine if, that is to exclude the ballot boxes which were kicked by regime thugs and all that. But even if we were to add all those, I don't think we would hit the 20% mark. So if 14% of the people come out to vote their leaders, how do you then wake up every day ranting on X that things have gone wrong? Look at what is happening now. These NRM people are having their primaries. People who have stolen iron sheets have come back with proceeds from that. They are now distributing money and all that. Money that they have stolen from these poor people, they are giving it out to different people, and these different people are ready, in some cases, to go and vote them again. So I think there has to be an awakening of the consciousness of the people. And for us as NUP, we've been talking about the protest vote. To say that the protest vote begins with a massive voter turnout. Our president has already said something. He says it in Luganda, but I also say it in English. Gamba baba akataweze. If you do not come up to vote, and then the regime is able to mobilize, to pay people, to bribe people, and they come up to vote, and then tomorrow, why would you complain when things continue going south? We've been telling people that if you do not come up at your village to vote for an LC1 chairperson, and a village thief is elected, then don't start complaining tomorrow when your chicken begins to disappear. Because on the day when you were supposed to go out and vote, you chose to stay home. So that is our call, that this time around, the election is coming up. I think the president maybe deliberately did not mobilize you or charge you lawyers to come out and vote for him. He's unopposed in our party for the presidential flag bearer, and I want to use this opportunity to call upon all lawyers to come and vote for him and support the National Unity Platform. Because the National Unity Platform is the only party that will guarantee social justice and fairness in the management of the affairs of this country. But the most important point is that on that day, prepare for voting day the way you prepare for important days in your life. We see people prepare for weddings as if it's a do or die. Lawyers prepare for court. You write in your diary, you say on this particular date, I have a very, very important case. I have a mediation. I have an arbitration matter to handle. So why don't you prepare for an election day the way you prepare for these big days. We've been telling the young people of Uganda, they normally prepare. When they hear that an international artist is coming to Uganda, they prepare for months. But when it comes to an election, someone goes and they see a long queue, they say, I will not go there. So, the only thing we did, for example, to get the victory for Honorable Nalgola is because we protested. People protested. People stayed at polling stations and said, we are not going to leave these polling stations until our results are announced. And the people followed those results to ensure that they are announced. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Lewis, and please bear with us. I want to thank you for asking for the vote for me. And I reiterate that request. Guys, please vote for me. I'm your own. The other old guy is not a lawyer. I am. You'll bear with me. It would be very necessary for us to live here. I mean, it would not be characteristic of what we stand for if we live here only having heard male voices. So allow me to invite my Deputy President in charge of Northern Uganda and also a senior counsel, Mamalina Zedriga, to just give us a word from a woman to the women and to us the men. Thank you.
Yes, that is my president. That is our president, the intergenerational, the iconic, the enigma. Yes, thank you so much, Your Excellency. You have my vote, and my address is specifically to the women. We are bearing the brand of this militarized, monetized space called Uganda. Our bodies have become the interview panels. Interview through sex. Yes, we have the evidence. I'm a member of FIDA, Uganda. Your dignity is being violated, even your own children and grandchildren. We should be so annoyed to reclaim our dignity, our identity as the women, especially the women lawyers. Run for all positions possible under the NU. Defend, proclaim, recruit, and if they steal our votes, demand. As women, we can do it. By example, I am here. In my late life, going to be 64 this year. But here I am, because I would like to leave a legacy like the Wangari Maathais. Why are we living incognito? What is your legacy as the women lawyers? And especially those from northern region, where we have, our people right now are being threatened all over. I got messages and shared. They want to portray northern region as NRM infected and infected. It's not true. It's not. Exactly. So, as Dr. Eliud Kipchoge said, rightfully, the iconic Olympiad, he says, no human is limited. People look to us as the lawyers. We need to ensure that we address the root cause of why Uganda we have degenerated to this level of disrespect for human dignity, disrespect for rule of law, disrespect for dialogue, disrespect for humanity, and therefore uproot it and be at the table as we set and reset to reclaim human dignity, to reclaim our motherland. We can do it. It's not only for our president, but each one of us multiply yourself and be courageous. Even those who believe they are cowards, you are not cowards. You just want to deny your human dignity. Reclaim it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, both physically present and those that are online, we would like to notify you that whereas we appreciate the questions that are flowing in, showing the attachment you have to this topic, which has always been something that we advertise using the Radical New, but we have information that the president of NUP has another schedule and would like to request that he be allowed to wind the day as far as this function is concerned in order to attend to other functions. As we know, he's a very busy man. It took so much to get him here. We usually have our activity of this nature on Thursdays at 11, but we got a call as the ULS to kindly and exceptionally allow that this function be held on Tuesday. So kindly bear with us, but we would like to acknowledge the questions that have been coming in online from one Eli Kasirie, one Nagudi Asia, one Ndaula Joseph, from Zoom, one Atwoki, another Gaga Joseph Gali, and one from Wallace. As you were informed, Mr. President, this is an online program as well that is being watched by thousands of members of the public and the advocates, over 5,000 plus. So we receive questions endlessly, and you are a person of interest. And it also just leaves us with a lot to discuss. So kindly allow the president to wind the day. And before that, we would like to invite the council member from the East to take us through the next agenda item. That is something very critical in order for us to carry the day thereafter. Thank you so much.
Okay, wow, so much flying around this room here. I'll not take much time. Mr. President and those online, those physically present, I'm hoping you're having a good time. Council Malema Virizi. Please allow his award to be seen by the President. We recently awarded Council Malema Virizi for a decade of rule of law advocacy. As is customary, Mr. President, we always put pen to paper. We don't want to just talk and keep talking. We want to walk the walk. On previous occasions, we have made declarations and signed with many of our guests a commitment to election justice, to a violence-free, transparent, and fair process. We have designed one this afternoon, and I want just to read through it for the members just to be able to understand what we are signing this afternoon before we can let you attend to your other day's engagements. The title is Declaration of Alliance Against Electoral Violence and Call for Free, Fair, and Transparent Elections. The last part of Call for Free, Fair was inserted by our own Land Council, Council Lewis. It's important to rally members and rally the community and rally the stakeholders. The body is this. We, the undersigned members of the ULS, government, civil society, media, and human rights organizations come together to condemn electoral violence in all its forms and to pledge our collective efforts towards preventing and mitigating its occurrence in Uganda. Recognizing the fundamental right of citizens to participate in peaceful and free elections and the importance of upholding the rule of law and democratic principles. Acknowledging the history of electoral violence and injustice in Uganda, which have marred the country's electoral process and undermined trust and democratic institutions. Noting the disproportionate impact of electoral violence on women, journalists, communities, and the need for targeted measures to protect these groups here. We commit to 1, promoting free, fair, and peaceful elections through advocacy, education, and community engagement. 2, supporting victims of violence through legal aid, counseling, and other forms of assistance. Holding perpetrators accountable through robust investigations, prosecutions, and sanctions. 3, strengthening institutional capacity to prevent and respond to electoral violence, including through training and capacity building of law enforcement, judiciary, and electoral officials. We call upon all stakeholders, including political parties, candidates, and citizens, to join us in this effort to build a culture of peace, tolerance, and respect for human rights in Uganda's electoral processes. This is signed at the ULS House today, on the 15th day of July 2025. Mr. President and our distinguished guests and those that are attending, we are going to endorse upon this document as a commitment that we shall walk the walk in 2026.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We are moving fast into the next agenda item. This is common practice with the Uganda Law Society. We try to make sure it doesn't just go in vain whenever we hold such critical topics, especially in regard to elections. We try to make a commitment, and we are continuing to commit ourselves in the same cause. In the meantime, we'd like to make an announcement. Car registration number UBG 088M and UBR 512B, you are kindly requested to access your vehicle to allow the car behind you to make way. Kindly, UBG 088M and UBR 512. Kindly, it's urgent. Kindly reach your vehicle wherever you parked it. Mr. President, in the meantime, as you are signing these documents and commitments, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of Advocate Nasa Abed Mudiovole, who is your member as well and was recently a victim of election violence, as you had announced or said so. He was arrested on the 16th day of March 2025. He was eventually released on the 23rd day of March 2025, and we had the honor to host him on the 5th day of April 2025 to share his account, and we honored him for standing brave like you've spoken, as it is the case. And would like to also let you know that with the Uganda Law Society, he is working together hand in hand to eventually petition the Constitutional Court in regard to the unlawful drilling as provided for under Section 45 of the Penal Code Act. We shall be very grateful once we get the support. We thank you. We also recognize the presence of Council Sasi, who was once here with us, doesn't need so much introduction. We recognize the presence of Council Musisi, who was here with us. These are the soldiers that you have mentored, and we have them here with us, and they have been enabling the public with impartation of knowledge. We also have the presence of Council Yasin, who is a stalwart of the Radical New Bar. He's the head of ideology, and he has a very short message for you as well as the public, and would like to invite him to come forth. And very briefly, like we said, let's keep knowledgeable of the schedule of the president. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MC and our advocate here, members present, and those online, like have been introduced. My name is Ssentamu Munagomba. I am the head of ideology of the Radical New Bar. Mr. President, we are honored and exceedingly humbled to have you in our midst today. But like we have talked about violations in form of abduction, wrongful detention, our president, Council Isaac Kimaze Semakade, Senior Counsel, is in exile. I am very alive to the fact that the NRM government, in its endeavor to restore human rights, one of its tenets was that no Ugandan should live outside this country. You very well remember the days of Kabaka Mwanga. You very well remember the days of Kabalega, Omukama, of Bunyoro, and the trend has continued. Amidst you, majority of you, if I'm not mistaken, you're all lawyers. And if I may request, can we have lawyers stand up with you, with your team? Mr. President, you realize that everyone on this table is a lawyer. Kindly take your seat. How do we have a society that cannot feel the presence of its leader? Senior Counsel Semakade has been in exile as a result of the lawyers' work. As a society, the Attorney General of this country is a lawyer. The judge that sentenced Semakade to 2 years imprisonment, Justice Musa Sekana, as then was in a minute, in the absence of Semakade, had him, convicted him, and sentenced him to 2 years imprisonment. Well, as we talk about human rights violation, let's also realize the fact that exile, living in exile, is a matter of human rights violation. Semakade had a lot to do. Your presence here is as a result of Semakade's tremendous work. I am requesting you to use the office of the leader of opposition to say no to exile. You have mentioned Justice Kisache, whom Semakade aggressively advocated that she will not live in exile when is the head of the bar. And as fate that be, Semakade found her in exile. I don't know who will be next, but I will remember the words of the former Muslim cleric, Sheikh Muzata, when he said that those who had exiled people during Amin's time found them there during Obote's time. For whoever is exiling people today might find them after today. Mr. President, I thank you for honoring our arrangement, and please ask the leader of opposition, Honorable Sewungu, Haj, Honorable Nalukola, the Secretary General, please, we need to combine effort and condemn the continued exiling of our Supreme Leader, Isaac Kimaze Semakade. I thank you and wish you wonderful journeys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It goes without saying that a sitting without honorable. Yes. All right, thank you, our panel of distinguished guests. We would like to move forth. We are running out of time. You'll bear with us once again, like I said. We're going to kindly request the panel that has the declarations before them to kindly stand up and display them for purposes of accountability, like is always the case. And the media, that is the Fourth Estate, who we are very grateful to, shall take pictures, and we shall use this as a commitment to follow up on issues concerning election violence and look forward to a peaceful election that is coming forth, and therefore ask that we walk the talk like our council member has said. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And what is it a sitting like without a tickle from Honorable Nalukola? Kindly, 1 second. Activate the button. Yeah.
Thank you, Robert. But what would I say? Once a wise man said nothing. Let me tell you something.
Yes, Council.
When John F. Kennedy was contesting for presidency in the United States of America, he wanted the support of the black people. He went to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and requested for his support. What Dr. Martin Luther King did, he advised John F. Kennedy to organize for a press conference, invites Dr. Martin Luther to sit there with him. And indeed, that's what John F. Kennedy did. And the message went to the black people that Dr. King has supported John F. Kennedy. I am with President Kyagulanyi, and I salute him for the wonderful message. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Honorable happens to be my OB. We went to law school together when we were in Livingstone Hall. And Council Katana Benjamin at the LDC, we honor you and we are grateful to meet once again, especially in this capacity. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the close of this function. You may be notified about the empty chair, the principle. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't want to go without getting to know what it means now and beyond. This is a symbolization of a departed soul and to symbolize his void felt within our hearts even in his absence. And in this particular regard, this is to honor our fallen icon, Professor George William Kanyehamba, who has already been spoken about. And what is more interesting and more for us to take home is these books that we are seeing before us are from the President's personal library, Isaac K. Semakade, so as to know that he is knowledgeable and is a true champion of the rule of law and good governance. So we would like to continue to appreciate and be with him, and as we pray for his soul to continue to rest in peace, and also use the legacy, as the President has already advised us, to see him as those shoes that we need to fill, very big ones, but also the good thing is we are all lawyers. So for the lawyers out here, anything else can be used, but this is what we have to use as our icon and our example. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the close of this function and would like to take the opportunity to invite our panel that usually sits with us to take a group picture. But before that, we are going to have a vote of thanks coming from two distinguished individuals. Mr. President and your panel, please be notified that the Rule of Law Department and Litigation is established to go down to institutions as well as the public. And for this matter, we also have management of rule of law clubs in the different universities in Uganda, one of them being your former university, Cavendish University, Makerere University, and we have presidents from those clubs that are members and attendees of this function. We would like to call one of them or the team that has been sat in here for this time to give a vote of thanks in representation of the children and the people that you're talking to, the youth that you're talking to, who are going to be proud of their future tomorrows, as you had said. Would like to welcome Angela, or the Angel, to give a vote of thanks, after which we shall be hearing from the Honorable Sewungu, who will give a vote of thanks in his accord, and then we shall come towards the end of the function. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues and fellow advocates for social justice, I am honored to stand before you today as the representative of the Rule of Law Club presidents to express our heartfelt gratitude to the Uganda Law Society for organizing the 27th Radical New Bar Press and Public Engagement. My name is Ashaba Annabel Angel. I am the president, Rule of Law Club, Makerere University, and I am very honored to be here. And thank you. We are deeply grateful for the thought-provoking speech delivered by our esteemed speaker, His Excellency Robert Ssentamu Kyagulanyi, who shared his invaluable insights and experience on the topic, lawyers as agents of social justice, through upholding human rights and electoral integrity. His words have inspired us to continue advocating for the rule of law, constitutionalism, and good governance in Uganda. We also take this opportunity to pay tribute to the late Professor Kanyehamba, a legendary figure in Uganda's fraternity, whose legacy continues to inspire us. May his soul rest in peace. may we take a moment of silence. So many are called to service, but so few have showed up, and even less do it with such conviction that their loss creates a vacuum. God calls us to service, and we therefore extend our gratitude to those that are in service, even at great personal cost. This is a country resistant to progress, filled with people content to stay in the status quo. And so it makes an already hard task even harder, and we are deeply grateful. To the Uganda Law Society, we appreciate your tireless efforts in promoting the rule of law and social justice. Your commitment to imparting knowledge and advocating for human rights is truly commendable. To our moderator, thank you for guiding this discussion and ensuring that our engagement was productive and meaningful. And to all the participants here today and those online, thank you for your active engagement and contributions to this important discussion. Your passion for social justice and human rights is a testament to the power of collective action. Once again, we express our sincere gratitude to the Uganda Law Society. Let us continue in our work together to promote the rule of law, social justice, and human rights in Uganda, or at least a semblance of it. For God and my country, thank you. A semblance of it.
Thank you so much. We are going to have these individuals introduce themselves to show the difference in universities that is actually working as a team. Thank you.
Protocol observed. Good afternoon. My name is Jenny Rankunda, President, Rule of Law, King Caesar University, and I'm here to send the voice of all the students out there that are like, let's all be guardians of the rule of law. Let's uphold the rule of law as we approach the 2026 elections. Thank you.
Protocol observed. Gabriel Ejayo Polot is my name, and I am the President, Rule of Law Club, Cavendish University.
Protocol observed. My name is Semugabi Gerald Kusima, Makerere University, and I'm very happy to be here.
Protocol observed. My name is Msoke Gilbert, and I'm representing Makerere Law Society. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We would like to invite the Honorable Sewungu to give a vote of thanks for this industrious discussion that has just taken forth, and he would give his thoughts. Then after that, we shall invite the council member from Eastern to take us through the next agenda item. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, Mr. President of the National Unity Platform, where I belong, and our President of Uganda Law Society, Senior Counsel, whom I first gave instructions in my life when I was contesting the poor payment and the UPE funds during that time. Good afternoon, everyone. I've been given a very terrible activity to carry out. I rarely make such concluding remarks, but let me attempt them. I'm Sewungu Joseph Gonzaga, Member of Parliament, Kalonzo County West, and currently I'm the Minister of Education in Uganda. Many people think I'm the shadow minister, but where there is the absence of Janet Museveni not appearing anywhere, I remain the Minister of Education and the National Unity Platform. And above all, I'm not a shadow minister. So the rest of government, ministers, the Mingos and others, they are shadowing me because I'm a full minister as appointed by the President. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Uganda Law Society and the strides taken by the Rnblive Radical New Bar, for this great initiative of engaging us towards topics and discussions that the society has for long evaded. This public lecture, as the 27th Rnblive gives us the opportunity to explore the silent discussions that the oppressors are afraid of. Uganda Law Society, with the past leadership, they were in sleeping mode. And the coming of Senior Counsel Isaac Asemakade, he brought us out of the mortuary. We should clap for that. The leadership we had at that time, Mr. President, was only available for the Ben Chwanuka Day commemoration. And that would be the end of Uganda Law Society. But ever since we got our president, everything is moving on very well. I would like to thank our president. In his presentation, in whatever he delivered to us, our interest as advocates, as lawyers, is paying key attention to Chapter 4 of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. The moment you kill that chapter, then you have abrogated the Constitution. And as young lawyers, I beseech you, and we are lucky that you have a young leader, His Excellency Ssentamu Kyagulanyi, plus the President of Uganda Law Society. Please don't relent. Continue fighting. With this kind of struggle, we can be able to come out of the challenges we are having. What General Museveni is doing is killing what we normally define in law as separation of power. There is no separation of power as we talk now. Actually, if you take deep interest, Mr. President, sir, in the last election petitions, we had a very senior judge who passed on, may his soul rest in peace, Justice Kakuru. He was not placed anywhere because of the judgment he gave under age limit. And as a result, they gave all judges in the Court of Appeal cases to handle, but he was asked to just give assistance wherever there would be a missing judge. And in the end, what happened? You know what has happened to the former Chief Justice? He had to leave early enough to avoid the challenges he had again within the same judgment, where he could not even afford reading his own judgment because he got stomach pain as a result of challenges of the law. I was told recently, Mr. President, with your presentation, which has been so fruitful, that of course the Chief Justice is about to retire, but someone was telling me that, can I tell you, if at all this Chief Justice would retire before a nomination of candidates to Parliament, would have stood as an MP for another electoral process on an NRM ticket. These are very challenging situations for such people. Mr. President, sir, I also mourn the passing on of Justice Kyagulanyi. We know what he has helped us. We had a lot of challenges when we were removing members of Parliament. That was Sechikubo, Muhammad Nsereko, and others. The only person we had by then, plus other lawyers, was this Justice Kyagulanyi, who came in to give us assistance. Of course, Uganda Law Society, it's our duty, it's our role. And you, the younger generation, you have to continue struggling for this country to go for redemption. We need redemption for this country. I want to thank you very much. Mr. President, I want to assure you, with this leadership here, the likes of the neighbor next to you there, these young people are doing their job. And we are sure when we go for these elections, they will be present wherever we shall be. For the next election, as we have been stating, you will be placed everywhere in the country, come out for anything that comes out. You file a matter, you file a case, so that we get evidence against the demagogue. Otherwise, I want to thank you very much for inviting us here, and we shall continue coming. God bless you. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you so much, the council member from the East. To wind up.
Time is so against us. Mr. Lewis, I know you're running a tight program. We have gifts for you people. I want to invite Councillor Sheila. Please join me here. She's the ambassador of our president. To come and give these gifts here. The first gift is to Councillor Lewis. Please, please come and get the first gift. Please come. It's part of our R&B regalia. We would don our attire because you're part of the Radical New Bar.
Very good.
Well, thank you. The next gift is, please, Your Excellency, please come and receive this gift. Your text, Robert Kyagulanyi, the President, please come and receive our Radical New Bar regalia when the soldiers are being called out. Your favorite color?
Oh, yeah.
Please. On that note, I want to thank everybody for spending time, for coming out. We are indeed grateful. We have officially closed. I would invite the team at the panel here, just come here for one last photo moment of the entire panel, then we can be on our way. Thank you so much, everybody. Don't miss the chance to shake the President's hand. Don't miss the chance to share in the moment.
Wadengembela ekayo sobola kusaba togwa musubi osobola manya mukama wali osobola osobola embera yonna wadenga entisa nyingi osobola nga mukama wali osobola kale no togwa mumanyi osobola mu mbeera yonna gula wa maso tunule kubawo zibiriza egenda songa za kwanga munje okumanya kokwe kuyamba abalala ebikunyiga byebinyiga tubikwase manye byo bebelele bute tupowa tukyuse mbere no naye nga osobola okukyusa embeera wadde nga oluuza otuze ku kisenge osobola okulaba kwebyo byewaloota nobitukako in your lifetime kasi tukola n'amaanyi nulemerako ebirala obikwase katonda tukira balemerako bibamalako enjogera eyo yaffe kubadda wadenge embeera ekayo osobola kusaba togwa mu ssuubi osobola manya mukama wali osobola embeera yonna wadde nga entiisa nyingi osobola nga mukama wali osobola kale no togwa mu maanyi osobola mu mbeera yonna kati gwe abadde alowooza te ebintu byabalonde tekankubuusa te naawe abadde amanyi nti ebintu tebisoboka ekizampo yeffe kati nno tebakutiisa tebakufiisa tebakunyomanga naawe ebintu biyinza bali mu buyinza tebakukanganga wadde nga abajja na bitala abajja na lyanyi ffe tuzze na mukama katonda kuba n'endawuni eyakuba Goliyansi yakwata bukwasi jjinja twava mu geto kulumba nalonga twesize mukama katonda kubanga ne Dawudi yanyiga Goliyansi nga yesize mukama katonda wadenge embeera ekayo osobola kusaba togwa mu ssuubi osobola manya mukama wali osobola embeera yonna wadde nga entiisa nyingi osobola nga mukama wali osobola kale no togwa mu maanyi osobola mu mbeera yonna. Everything is possible if only you believe you can achieve. Abote bakulimba, abaoza tolumba, katonda talimba, manya ye defender. Abote bakulimba, manya ba pretender, katonda talimba, manya ye defender. Abote bakulimba, abaoza tolumba, katonda talimba,
no promote no violence. We condemn the violence. Rasta no promote no violence. Give me all. Okulwana mu bavubuka kususe nnyo kata bakulembeze ekibaswaza nnyo bamma bavubuka nze nsaba tukole bwetuti abokulonda kubeere kwa ddembe ano buyinza bukyuke mu ddembe ana uganda mulonde mu ddembe awo obulamu butunyumire sabye okulonda kubeere kwa ddembe ano buyinza bukyuke mu ddembe ana uganda tubeere baddembe ano maka kubanyumire ovako independence tole mu ntalo kyekiganye ne uganda okola lwa ntalo buli gavumenti ejana ntalo era bagala okugenda zebenga ntalo bakikola batya eri busukka nsalo abakyusa awatali kulwana ntalo lwaki temukitandika basebo nga temwagamba kyekyabalwanisa entalo lwaki oyoza engoye enjeru ate nozanika ku kiti kyenziro lwaki temunabira ku mandera yafuka temunatabendera abakulembeze okulamu ntebe ekiretera uganda okufuka eddebe buli ayogera kungula kuzimulabe ekyo tekituzimba tuba tuta mabega abantu obaleka ne balondawo omuntu watakoze ne bamugyawo ekyo nesemateeka akyogerako omubikula kyosookerako wabula abokulonda kubeere kwa ddembe ano buyinza bukyuke mu ddembe ana uganda mulonde mu ddembe awo obulamu butunyumire sabye okulonda kubeere kwa ddembe ano buyinza bukyuke mu ddembe ana uganda tubeere baddembe ano maka kubanyumire